Imagine dragging yourself forward by your fingertips, the cold, heavy earth pressing against your chest with every single breath. You are 55 feet underground, and the passage is barely wide enough to accommodate your shoulders. In 1925, an explorer named Floyd Collins crawled into a space exactly like this, searching for a subterranean fortune to change his life. While maneuvering through a 9-inch gap in the rock, the geology gave way. A sudden collapse pinned his left leg to the floor, wedging him firmly into the narrow crawlway. This isolated accident in the dark would soon violently collide with the surface world, turning one man's struggle into America's first true national media spectacle. In the early 20th century, central Kentucky was consumed by the cave wars. Local landowners entered a bitter competition to find and commercialize underground caverns, hoping to capitalize on the region's growing tourist trade. Floyd had already discovered the massive Great Crystal Cave, but its remote location kept visitors and profits low. He needed a cave closer to the main highway to achieve the wealth he was chasing. He struck a deal with 3 local farmers to explore a small opening on their property. They called it Sand Cave, and Floyd spent weeks alone, digging deeper into the unstable earth. The financial pressure to find the ultimate tourist attraction blinded him to the risks of working unmapped, crumbling geology without a partner. On January 30th, his gas lamp began to dim. As he scrambled to escape the tight squeeze before the light failed, he knocked the lantern over, plunging the crawlway into total darkness. In the blackness, he misplaced his foot. A 26.5-pound rock shifted from the ceiling and slammed down, permanently wedging his left leg against the floor. The passage was so narrow, Floyd couldn't shift his weight to leverage the stone. Locked 55 feet below the surface, early harness rescue attempts failed. Pulling him upward only ground his body into the rock ceiling, nearly tearing his torso apart with friction. The cave's geometry had created a one-way lock. Any attempt to use brute force from the surface would kill him before the cave ever let him go. While Floyd lay motionless in the cold, the ground above him transformed. On Carnival Sunday, an estimated 10,000 people swarmed the site to watch the rescue unfold. Vendors set up stands to sell souvenirs and 25-cent hamburgers, creating a grotesque, festive atmosphere directly over the tunnel where Floyd was dying. The rescue became a national obsession. It was a major news story, reported using the new technology of broadcast radio, keeping millions of listeners tuned in for daily updates. Rescuers even jerry-rigged a radio amplifier to the wire of his warming light bulb. They sat in the mud with headphones, trying to listen for the faint vibrations of his breath through the copper line. To the public, Floyd was no longer just a man in a cave. He had become the centerpiece of the modern era's first true crime reality broadcast. After the main passage collapsed, the strategy shifted to a final, desperate gamble. Rescuers abandoned the tunnel and began hand-digging a 55-foot vertical shaft to reach Floyd from above. 75 volunteers worked in shifts with nothing but pickaxes and shovels. They moved through solid rock at a rate of only 2 feet per hour. While underground, Floyd succumbed to severe hypothermia. On day 14, the light bulb that had been his only source of warmth and the surface's only connection to his life finally went out. When the shaft finally breached the chamber days later, the hope of a rescue ended. Floyd was found cold and dead. It is a grim irony that the collective efforts of 75 men were defeated by a rock no heavier than a bowling ball. The tragedy did not end with his death. After his body was recovered, the new owner of the cave placed Floyd's embalmed remains in a glass-topped coffin, exhibiting him as a macabre tourist attraction in the very cave that killed him. His corpse was eventually stolen and mutilated before the National Park Service intervened decades later to provide a proper burial. He was reinterred at a local cemetery with a tombstone declaring him the greatest cave explorer ever known. Floyd Collins chased the American dream into the dark, and in his struggle created the blueprint for how the modern news cycle turns personal tragedy into national entertainment.